Hello, everyone, and welcome to the recap of Game 12 of the World Championship match and between Ding and Nepo. And I'm delighted to be joined by the Peters, Peter Svidler and Peter Heine Nielsen. How are you guys?
Yeah, vying for the much vaunted position of being the Blue Peter, which we're both kind of attempting today. But
I missed that
but
one.
I think but I think PH is winning that
I
race.
think I got this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Today is not to be missed.
Yeah, not to be missed. Incredibly exciting game. Well, what did you expect before the game?
Not that.
Not that. Okay. Okay. The first move.
I was, trying to simulate. I was a second and trying to come up with ideas, and I had no clue what to recommend. So I was mainly leaning back, and this I could not predict. But I guess that was the feeling everybody had. No one had a clue. I think there was a poll. I saw that people should vote. Will he go C4, D4, E4, knight F3? And basically it was spread out evenly.
Actually, 1 week ago, I predicted this call, but for today, I thought it would be E4, 1 E4. I don't know why. But because it became too obvious while the leak was there. I mean, actually, the call was one of the very few, system which was not tied. So, I mean,
actually, by the process of exclusion,
exactly.
Well, also, exactly. I mean, if you have played H3, can E3 be that much worse? I mean,
no.
Yeah.
And it has to be established very early on that I've played this opening my entire childhood. So, for about 3 moves there, maybe even fewer, for about 3 ply, I thought I will have something to say about the opening today, and then they proved me conclusively wrong. C5 is, of course, perfectly fine. Knight BD2. We could debate. Could debate for a while if he was actually planning to play the pure Cole, or if he was planning to play some kind of Zuckertort types things with Bishop on B2. Wow. I think it was probably B3 Bishop B2 systems, but he wasn't given the chance.
Let me just jump in here and say that free E3 was actually played by Magnus Carlsen against Kayakin in the famous World Championship game that he lost and fell behind. Me and Fres was definitely preparing it. I was unable to find our old prep while looking for it today. And I didn't really manage. At that point, sorry?
I did.
Wow.
I did find it.
Email it to me. Thanks. But I mean, I think we were also in a bit of a desperate situation to get the game going. And that one backfired tremendously. This one was more successful. I mean, E3 is a weird move, but of course it's not exactly bad. Anyway, back to Peter.
Yeah, and the following 3 moves by Jan are honestly extremely confusing and kind of stunning. And I did today's game with Alexander Grishuk and also Ilya Levitov, and I think we settled on what that was. And if we're right, it's actually quite a remarkably interesting and kind of a good psychological / chess decision by Jan, because he played Queen C7 here so as to put it on the board and to demonstrate. He played Queen C7 here, which is obviously not forced. It's a move like any other, but you have to say they normally play Queen C7 when the bishop can actually get to F4.
Exactly. You try to stop bishop F4, yeah.
Which is not a legal move, yeah. So already you're a little bit surprised. Ding thought, okay, I don't really need to spend too much brain energy trying to solve this puzzle. I will just play C3. And then Jan thought for about, I think, 9.5 minutes, and he played bishop C8, D7, which I think in an online game, you just assume it's a misclick.
Yeah.
And it's indeed not a good move at all. Not only does it look strange, it is also not good. But if you look at the position Jan got, 5-7 moves later, I think he realized that the way Ding's been playing the recent few games, it's very, very likely that he will just autopilot something here without really even trying to understand why these various decisions are being taken. And then what he gets is what he got in the game, which is, and here...
to be fair, just my explanation that he was afraid of some, let's say, knight c6, bishop b5, something with 95. and then he wanted to prevent that. I mean, this is the only
but honestly, if you're so worried about that, why aren't you playing a6? I mean, why are you playing bishop d7? What's the big
or even here?
Yeah. Or honestly, why aren't you playing g6, which is something they absolutely do in this structure?
Yeah, maybe he didn't want. I mean, like this, I can a6. I don't have any explanation. G6, he just doesn't want to put on his bishop on g7.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, you commit your bishop here. Of course, this pawn structure is quite nice for white against that bishop. So this I can understand. Why not a6? This is
just go a6. I don't know.
This is too difficult for me. So yeah. So what?
But the point about this is, it's not great, but it's not great for sort of a specific reason. Even though, what Ding got in the game is like a very classical Carlsbad with not one but two tempi up, I think, right? If we compare it to what you normally get, and still it's fine for black.
Yeah.
But the reason this is not great, and here, there's another opportunity for us to nerd out a little bit. Yeah, like knight e5. If you suspect your opponent will actually pause for 3 seconds and think about what's happening on the board, white just goes knight e5, and after, I assume you play knight c6, because what else do you play? And yeah, knight d3 is very strong. But one point I want to make is, even if you just take on d7 here,
instead of
knight df3, you just go knight takes d7. And there was this line against the Caro, which I think Magnus actually introduced me to. Just bring it back for a second. Yeah, e4, c6, knight f3, d5, e5, cd5, knight e5, right? And in this position, there is a line that goes, I think, how does that go? Like knight f6, d4, knight c6, bishop d5, bishop d7, and you absolutely take on d7 here and go c3, right?
Yeah.
So what Jan would get in the game is this position, which is playable, and Magnus, I think, has played it. Two tempi down.
That doesn't mean it's playable. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I did it myself. Like, there is a very specific reason. I think there's a very, very specific reason why white is not better there, and it's tempo. It's very tempo orientated. And here we're going to be full two tempi up compared.
Yeah.
And why Ding spent less than 2 minutes on this decision?
This shocked me. I thought maybe knight df3 is a bit counterintuitive. You would look at f4 first, or no?
Not necessarily. No. I think my first two decisions here are knight d7 and knight f3. F4 bishop f5, like, it gets messy.
Yeah, right? I don't like f4. I just thought somehow maybe one would misunderstand it in that way.
No, they did f3, something like that. Yeah. Very
we need two bishop f4. Like, we're just better.
I mean,
like, we have a
this is a good Carlsbad if I ever saw one. Yeah.
This is a good Carlsbad. This that one I can recognize. I mean, the rest of the Carlsbad I can't, but here,
this is just such an improved version of absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, it's just great.
But also, no disrespect, but I don't think you have come that close to explaining bishop d7. I still don't get it. I mean,
no, but I think he suspected that Ding will do exactly what he did in the game, which is bishop d3, which is still fine.
Actually, can you do knight c6 instead of bishop d3? Sorry, instead of knight c6 here.
This was also very confusing.
So bishop d3, bishop g4.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure he was maybe worried about bishop
d5. But then I thought knight f1 is actually a good move here according to the computer. So somehow, but I mean, no one is that advanced. And,
no.
But I mean, it's similar to I played such actually. Reversed. I mean, like I played this like this. I played as black, and I was knight f3, e6, bishop g5, knight bd7, cd, ed, e3, bishop d6, bishop d3, or continue knight f8, knight g6.
Sure.
So this is just kind of similar ideas, yeah.
Yeah, it exists,
But still, for me, bishop d7 is one of the weirdest opening moves I've seen in a world championship match.
I absolutely agree. I just think that it was connected with a very clear idea of what he expected Ding to do in reply.
Yeah.
And it worked.
No, it's clear. I think I agree with Peter. I mean, something with bishop b5, which is...
I mean, it's nothing, but this has to be what he didn't like to allow. Because otherwise, why aren't you starting with knight c6? Like, he knows the bishop doesn't belong on d7, and we know that he knows because of what happened in the game, right? So
yeah, knight c6 of castle, and now bishop g4.
No, and already this is not one but two important turning points missed by Ding, because bishop d3, knight c6, you absolutely do play h3. Like you do, like it has to be played here.
Yeah, I was thinking, is Nepo actually that good that he's just going to go bishop g4? But that seemed to be no problem for him. For me, it's a difficult move because it makes bishop d7 look so ridiculous. But seemed to not a problem.
Yeah, and okay, this is not winning the game, but you are definitely going to get a somewhat preferable.
I mean, we were talking a considerable edge here, right? I mean, even the bishop on d7, it's almost better on c8, right?
Yeah, you can make those arguments for sure. Yeah. Anyway, so castle bishop g4, and even here, like we were wondering if white is now supposed to play something like queen a4, or the engine was giving this weird move queen e1, which I think I've seen maybe Kamsky play in some similar spots, but
it was not very impressive. As
but it's not going to give you very much, because you've already missed your bus twice. Like, you really should be thinking a bit earlier. And Ding kind of autopiloted. Yeah, and this allows knight d7, I think. The problem is knight d7, and you can't actually play knight e5 because bishop d7 in the end is very strong. And queen a4 just turns out to be an absolutely empty gesture. Like, it just does nothing. Yeah, just bishop d7 here, and I mean, the engine appears to like it for some reason, but I don't know why.
No, he says rook e1, knight e5, queen f4, f6. Becomes a random mess, as always, knight f3. Some compensations here. But yeah. No, that was not his plan. Yeah, he had his plan in mind. And I think you're right that Nepo was actually guessing right, that Ding would play his stuff and that's it. But yeah, still.
Yeah, and then we get a very healthy position with black, despite us playing a very well-known opening, 2 full tempi down. The structure is so solid that...
I mean, 2 full is a bit too much. The queen on c7, you consider this as a complete
maybe
waste?
Not, yeah. Maybe not.
This is 1. I mean, 1.5, let's say. Knight f1. Okay, that's the plan. You go to knight g3, h3, and you try to take that bishop. So bishop d6.
Yeah, and here a minor point, but maybe for our viewers to explain why not knight g3, because we just announced that knight g3 is the plan here. Knight h5 is actually a pretty decent move here, which stops white from being able to play h3, because now we can actually take this pawn. Yeah, there is some compensation. But
but it was not impressive. I mean,
so
I mean, the computer after knight h5 gives knight f1 as the bishop.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So he's gone bishop g5, and here, and this is the point. It's maybe a bit too early to make that point and to insist that it's very important. But once bishop g7 wasn't punished, up to a certain point, Jan just plays an extremely impressive game, both in terms of the moves he makes and also sort of the speed and the practicality with which he makes them. Like, he spent, I don't know, 5 minutes on castling here, just correctly assessing that he doesn't need to worry too much and he doesn't really have better options. So why, waste brain energy on not castling?
I saw on Twitter some people claiming that bishop h4, bishop g3 would give a good Carlsbad to white, which...
Yeah, the engine does suggest that, but I don't know how good that Carlsbad is, first of all, and secondly, how easy it is to play like this when you have to play for a win in this game. Like, it's not, the scores are not level.
I thought what he did was very logical.
Yeah.
Okay, so knight g3.
Maybe knight e3 I was thinking about. I was trying to convince myself of that. And then bishop h5, you cannot take for some reason, probably because you move the king most likely.
Yeah, and then you lose a piece actually. Yeah, bishop f3 could f3.
Yeah, and that's not great.
Yeah. But
so you have to play bishop h5. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you play g3 and something with bishop e2, knight h4. I mean, it is equalish. I thought, black has to play somewhat active in a way. I mean,
yeah, because this pawn's long term.
You get some knight h4, he goes to g6, and the other knight goes to g2. I thought this is playable, and you can try to play against this bishop on g6.
Yeah,
black is fine, but he had to play a bit well, was my impression.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, knight g3 is much more direct. The problem is it just doesn't work. White is not worse yet, but you can definitely start seeing sort of the outlines of the position where you will start running some risks. And
so you play the 5, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
H3 takes. This is very normal. Here you have the choice between the move we play in the game, 97, which makes a lot of sense. You just want to get back here, or king h8, height away. King h8 maybe was.
Yeah, I think you just don't allow knight f5.
Yeah.
It doesn't really give white anything, but I think just aesthetically, it looks like a very playable position for white.
Okay, d8 is the only move though, to protect here, and some. Yeah, computer is showing equal here.
White is not better, but I get the point that it makes it's very human to discard this.
Yeah, and 97 forces the game to continue, and it's a kind of a position where I think if you sort of continue logically without changing the structure for 5 moves, black will be much better.
Yeah.
So white needs to play very, very quickly and very concretely, because if you give me tempi to play king h8, rook g8, knight g6, or double on the g file or something, somewhere around here you're in a lot of trouble already with white, because
that's cool.
You just have no particularly good plan to fight against my continued improvement. Like this is already lost. Pretty much lost. So
I need to object to some of the moves you're making for white. I thought that white.
No, you said pass. You said, I mean, like Peter said pass, and you started to roll your eyes.
Interesting. I thought that maybe white had a nice position, but black was holding it together. A4, I didn't like. I like knight h5.
No, I was
just playing fine.
Move.
I don't know. For some reason, I have some recollection of Morozowicz playing like this against the Caro, and somehow with the knight on h5 being somewhat strategically dominant. But I thought that, well, again, I'm influenced by looking at the computer, that the king had to go towards d1, actually. The computer.
This is what Sasha was saying. Like, round about this point, it became a meme on our stream that Sasha said, basically, the king needs to be on c2. But you probably are not going to get enough time to get it to c2, because once you actually put it on e2, I can play b5, and I can start hinting at opening the queen side as well. And you do have a3 here. We actually had this position on the board during this.
I mean, I thought this could be, well, this looks like 2 top engines playing against each other. I mean, I think I checked briefly, and at some point, as you said, black breaks with b5, or maybe he goes f6, e5. But I thought that at least it forces Nepo to be, well, should I be stable? Should I be aggressive? This kind of thing. I thought it's more difficult to play. And if knight g6, you go g3. I mean, well, you have some pluses with white at least.
Yeah, you have some containment for sure. And if you do manage to safeguard your king, maybe then you can start thinking about doing something on the king side. But I like the position normally, and Ding is sort of very much on the record as being aware of the king march. He's done it against Magnus famously in that black game. I think it was against Magnus, right, in St. Louis some game.
Could be.
Where he went like king g8 to b7 in some very, very well, heavily populated position, let's put it like this, not an endgame. There were still pieces on the board where he just embarked on moving the king to safety. So he knows the idea exists for sure, but I think this position doesn't look closed enough.
No.
Exactly. You have this b5, a5, and
I mean, he lost game, I forgot, was it game 2 he lost? And there he should have played king h1 and rook g1, and he didn't. Maybe he thought that at least.
If I go like this, as an a5, and
you have to be more precise. I think it's actually kind of tempo by tempo. You have to be more flexible. Like you go g3 here, and if black plays a5, maybe we actually return to the king side or something. Like
actually king f1 is the first line.
Like
a bit too much.
You have to be very flexible.
So you forced this weakening move a5,
yeah. We provoked a horrible mistake, a7, a5 from black, and now we go back to playing on the other side.
I was trying to say that, but
no, I mean these are all fun and games, but I think in a practical game it's extremely difficult to actually decide to do this. Even though
I start to get your point. During the game, I thought it was obvious, but I think not.
No. I mean, you can only move one square, with your king. So if you go one way, I mean, it takes time to go one way and then the other way. I mean, this is not like a queen or something. So
he went knight h5, king h8, g4, rook g8, and by the way, also important little note here is that the first appearance of this idea, instead of g4, you can start by playing king h1, rook g1, king h1, rook g8, rook g1, and the engine actually goes bishop h2 here.
Okay.
And says, "Would you like a draw, sir?" And
Always.
we will, and we will see it.
Yeah.
We will see it again later. So he's gone g4 immediately.
That's a nice repetition, actually.
Yeah, very unusual. You don't see it very often. Yeah, rook g8.
Yeah,
I think king h1 is correct now. And now after knight g6, once again, there was a very interesting point here, because white could play rook g1.
Why do you think he didn't do it?
I'm pretty sure he didn't see rook g3. And the point is after bishop h2.
He said. Actually, I watched the press conference. That would be useful at some point. He said maybe it's an improvement with the rook on f1, which I didn't get. He sensed that bishop c2 was a mistake, but he said rook f1. But after bishop d6, I mean, they didn't mention bishop d6, so I don't know what was the big master plan here, and why your rook is better placed here than actually
on e1. No, but gf knight h4 is pretty much always very playable. Just the ef here. I think in every single position here it goes ef and it says it's fine. But yeah, the larger point is you can play rook g3, which we thought was very, very difficult. Because after takes, knight e7 seems logical, and
okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know what to think here. But yeah, okay.
And in this position, like you want to go GF, but it allows e5.
Yeah.
Which you're generally not very happy about. And the engine actually after knight e7, as I understand it, starts giving moves like rook e1 or queen e3 instead of taking on f5. And it continues just playing this exchange down position quietly with these waiting type moves, and gives zeros.
I think it was queen e3.
And gives zeros. And first off, it's clearly not winning for white. And secondly, how easy any of this is, I mean, it's just not, right?
I think I remember looking at this and I thought it's very unlikely he understands this. He might go for the repetition, but that's also weird. So no.
Yeah,
I mean, well, even it's 0.00, but you are unable to explain it, right? I mean,
No, I understand. Yeah, and if the match situation is different, I'm pretty sure he just goes rook g1, rook g1 back and offers a draw. But he felt obliged to play for a win, and he started drifting. And I want to sort of further promote a comment in our chat after bishop c2. Somebody said, "Clearly a horrible mistake. It takes away the square from the king," which I thought was a fantastic comment, and I still like it very much all these hours later.
Also, just remind me, it was bishop c2 he blundered with in the second game as well, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's true.
That was already a poor position, but
So it was difficult for me to. Well, he's getting the d3 square for the queen, or
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the point. Yeah, he wants to have options of putting it on d3 at some point. But it's just not a very good move,
No.
So we get the info that Mr. Dodgy is speaking Russian and come to your chat and still trolling there, in Russian.
Very much so, yeah. And then we get this sequence where Jan just plays very logically and very well.
Yeah.
Knight h4. And knight h4 is a good move. Queen e3 is okay. Rook g6. I think rook g1 was given as a mistake by the comp, but this is not a difficult, not an easy position to play. And it
won with f3 with the idea of queen f2,
and
only being somewhat worse. But I thought that
I don't think anybody plays like this.
No.
And rook g1 very impressively once again, Jan realizes stopping f2 f4 is important, I assume, because you can't wait anymore. If you go rook a g8, white goes f2, f4, queen f2, and that actually solves. Maybe not specifically against rook g8, but against some other logical moves. Yeah, f4 was very much the idea.
No, now I can take.
Yeah.
Take as well is, but okay, f4. Let's show you idea, and f4.
And this actually stabilizes. Yeah, with queen f2 and bishop d1 ideas and so on. So he goes f4 himself, which is good. Jin goes queen d3, I think, right? Queen
because
e7.
Actually, we have to show that even if you remove the queen anywhere, I mean, you're not really. Now you are, but maybe queen e7, let's say, and the knight. It's a very important point here. That the knight is always trapped.
And this will be a very important motif for quite some
Later.
time in the game.
Yeah.
Some time. So he goes queen d3. Jan very quickly goes queen e7, which is a strong move. f5 may have already been quite good as well, but queen e7 is.
I thought this stage he played incredibly well. You said
Exactly.
There is now there was a strategic threat of playing g5 exactly, so the knight could jump to f6. But this he completely eliminates with this maneuver. I mean, the computer was giving Jan's move, but I was struggling to understand them. But I think I managed in the end, and I think.
But
you have to stop this expansion. So it's kind of prophylactic, or whatever you call it.
He was playing incredibly fast as well. We should mention incredibly well. So, but yeah, then as we may see later, you have to calm down at some point. I mean, I don't know if it was good to play that fast. I mean, just to.
Well, I mean,
it's difficult to criticize.
Yeah,
like play fast and well.
Yeah, when the quality of his decisions up until a certain point was as high as it was.
Yeah,
it's just like we're nitpicking. If we're criticizing it, we're just not really being very fair. Because like his autopilot in positions like this, when provided it's in good working order, is second to none, I think, in the world. So rook e1 already. I mean, white is just drifting. The engine already was suggesting it's time to start playing c4 and trying to break something open.
But it's a good point you mentioned that here he plays quickly and extremely impressive. Later, I'm going to be critical of the quality being that low. I think it's important to, as you said, to point out here the quality of his moves are incredibly high. Right?
Yeah. This whole sequence and the speed with which he came to those conclusions.
I badly need the computer to be able to sort of barely understand the moves. He seemed to do it like it was pretty simplistic to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Queen g5.
Yeah, the main issue in that position is that knight on h5, which is completely out. I mean, no squares, and you don't have any play, you don't have any plan. The only plan is c4, which tells a lot about the white options, actually, because c4 you will always take and get some square, or you can even ignore, actually. It's what he mentioned, actually, in the press conference, that rook c8, so rook c8 was better, maybe, was cleaner, which, I mean, there's still not going to play for white at here. I mean, you can play c5, of course, but what is c5?
Yeah, then we just drop it back to b8, and then we will switch entirely to the king side and probably will give mate. Like, I assume the computer maybe defends it and doesn't resign immediately, but in practical terms, this is very, very difficult.
I thought it was doing bishop d1 to f3 and somehow hanging in there to a decent extent, but maybe not here, actually.
Yeah, but okay.
The problem is eventually f5 comes and everything kind of breaks open. And even if you get the bishop to f3, there is a bunch of lines where when that happens, I just take on f3, I put the queen on h4, and it turns out this position just doesn't withstand the first threat I make. Maybe not specifically here, but
maybe rook g8 first, yeah?
Yeah, rook g8 first, and then eventually like I go fg, hg, queen h4, or the queen h4 first or something. And it just falls apart.
Yeah.
You have to create some active counterplay on the queen side somehow, and it just never looks remotely quick enough. Yeah, or king
h1 now.
King h1 b1 would be good here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking, but you just thought, well, there's no way you can regroup the.
Not anymore. No.
No, I get your point. I mean, maybe the computer will somewhat hang in, but it looks tragic. All the black pieces are playing, none of whites are.
Yeah, but DC is not a mistake, and
computer gives +4 for black.
Yeah, it's completely fine. Yeah. The point, I guess, is if you take knight f3 wins on the spot, right?
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Ends the game. Yeah. With queen h4, I guess, but also we're just winning material. We don't even even if we don't give mate, we just win so much material.
Yeah, everything is.
So
queen c3.
Yeah, and this is a very strange, like it's a beginning of a very strange sequence, because I thought this was tricky. I thought it was possible to make mistakes here. And the fact that you kind of can and maybe even should play b5 was not at all obvious to me, because after all, there is the discovered check with d4, d5 that you have to calculate. Your rook on g6 is technically hanging, which you have to assess. So maybe you want to play, maybe you want to play rook h6 instead or something. But he played b5 very, very quickly, which is by far the strongest move in the position.
Actually, rook h6 is perfectly.
Yeah, it's still winning, but b5 is stronger. Like in purely mathematical sense, it gives b5 a larger valuation. And then Ding goes a4, and this is just so confusing because we've established that in a position after b5, white has no counterplay. a4 is supposedly the best move your opponent found. Why aren't you playing a6?
I actually understood. I mean, like, because Ding gave the line, he thought he was lost, but he said AB, check e5 and OK1.
Yeah, okay.
And actually, you get. I mean, that's the point that you have to start with d5 check, because if you go takes OK1, you have a small. I mean, a big problem is queen e5 check, and you just resign on the spot. So you have to give check d5 e5 OK1, and it's true that he's dead lost after rook g8, but
yeah,
he has to play something.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And the funny bit is, b4 is the best move in the position, and it wins by force.
Really?
Yeah,
no, I thought Cece was giving
a6. It's the best move in the position, and it wins by force. But we were pretty sure that, like, we just finished discussing this with Sasha, and we came to the conclusion that, like, nobody plays b4 because it's just so difficult to find. And then he played b4 in like 3 minutes, and we thought,
why is it? Because of
queen c4, knight f3 wins.
Yeah,
Knight f3, queen c6, knight takes e1, and this position actually collapses if you take it long enough.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah,
you have to see everything. Queen f4, queen d3. Yeah. You may stop here, but actually you have f5, queen f3.
And this position, just before you show the viewers, if you put the pawn back on f5, if the white pawn is on b3 here, this is probably an unclear position.
Yeah.
This is how small the margins are. If the pawn is on b3,
takes threatening mate, so you have to play the endgame, but knight is so far. Now you go b3, and actually with the pawn b3, king g2, king f3 is coming.
Maybe we win.
So, but b3, bishop a3, of course, is thematic stuff. 2k to
you just win a full piece here.
But now we're not really in the area of intuition. We're in the area of very specific things.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
But he didn't stop at all. I mean, he played so fast here.
Yeah, and honestly, if you find this stuff in the game, it's unbelievably impressive and like borderline impossible, I think, to assess. Which is why I was shocked he played before, and I wasn't shocked when he didn't play knight f3. But I thought it was just kind of borderline impossible to go for this.
Really? Because you understand you're on the 12th here.
I mean, you have queen d5 check, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you have queen d. I mean, you're on the 12th for sure. While here, I mean, okay, queen c6, bishop e4. I mean, if you don't see, of course, there is another move. But let's say bishop e4. I mean, you can with this knight on h4. I don't know. Probably there's a chance I would never calculate such a line, but there's a chance I would play knight f3 because I think, okay, here we'll reassess later. Here I'm not worth 100%. I mean,
okay, fair. Yeah, I didn't consider it from that angle. I sort of like my assessment was you never play it if you need to see that endgame with before b3 in the end. But
of course.
But you do have ways of stopping earlier.
Like
you absolutely have.
I mean, this is just
apparently this is not so bad. Yes, somehow king h2.
How do you play here? H3, f3, king
h1, and back to h1. Yeah.
I mean, if rook d1, queen e5. I mean, I'm just pawn up and some winning chances. No.
Yeah, sure.
No, I mean. Just so by accident you can see it, but knight f3 is kind of
but also I think we're getting a little bit lost in very small details when actually what was going on was Jan clearly thought he is very close to winning this game correctly. I mean, he's outplayed things up until he started playing before. Like he clearly won that sequence between, I don't know, move 10 and move 25. And obviously, if he wins this game with black, he is a massive favorite to win the title. And he seemed kind of incapable of stopping. Like
exactly.
And the quality suddenly, with no warning and no real explanation, the quality just plummeted. He started making like objectively poor decisions.
Yeah.
With plenty of time on the clock to actually force himself to stop and think and calculate. Yeah. And rook a8, while not a horrible blunder yet, is the beginning of this very long sequence where like every second move is objectively at least a massive mistake.
Yeah, so Ding played queen c6. Actually, that's a mistake because Well, some very, very direct stuff. I don't know how easy. I don't know if it's easy to find or not. Probably not. Impossible? No, but
not impossible. I think the way you settle on knight f5 here is you look at bishop b8 and you realize bishop b8 just does not work tactically, and you start looking at other moves.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think you will be forced to consider knight f5, and you will realize it's playable and is actually quite good.
Actually, you cannot take. Yeah,
it's a cute mate.
Yeah.
Hang on, isn't queen g1 mate?
No, queen g1 is not mate. No.
Knight goes back to g3.
You're still winning, but it gets a bit trickier. Yeah, because f3 knight g3, and you are apparently still winning, but there's no reason to.
No.
Queen h5 wins harder, so to speak. Yeah.
That's
you have to take king g1.
FG apparently, yeah. FG with the idea of GF discovered checkmate, and then f3. If you take if you go.
It's game over.
Yeah. And it's like once he forces himself to calculate knight f5, I think he realizes knight f5 is strong. Maybe he doesn't know it's as winning as it is.
Yeah.
But I think he realizes it's at the very least playable and is a good move. But yeah, he was just like at that point he wasn't really stopping for anything.
No.
He just blitzes out bishop b8. I can actually look up the timings because it's an important part of the story. Bishop b8 took him less than a minute and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here Ding is missing.
Yeah, this is a massive chance for Ding.
Yeah, I can just just take on g6. Actually, now if you take back with a pawn, I have d5.
Yeah, d5 wins.
And if ed queen f6.
For a while we thought, because chat was telling us bishop h6 is playable, but we thought it was connected with the idea of going knight g3 after hg. And that is just a draw, because black takes, goes queen d2, and you cannot actually capture that knight on h4 in any kind of a comfortable version. So black actually escapes here. You're already not worse, but you're not winning. And d5 is just like the moment you realize the move exists. I think once again for somebody like Ding, who is an incredibly clean calculator, he just did not consider d5 existed. Because once you see it exists, you just realize you're winning. I think.
Yeah, takes. It's now the problem with the king. Yeah, I'm trying to take or e7, and if you take, rook takes, and just clearly.
Yeah. Well, even GH as the machine was giving there. Yeah, like you're just like the winning attack on the king side is actually ours now, not black's.
Okay.
So he goes queen b7, which is I think the second best move, but it's massively weaker than the win that he has with bishop takes 6 pretty much. And
I just want to take the pawn, put some pressure. Also, this pawn. I mean, it makes perfect sense. This queen b7. If you forget about knight f5 and if you don't see bishop takes g6, and again, knight f5 was almost a killer. I mean, not as good, but still very, very good.
Yeah.
So for Nepo, but there's no reason that he sees it here and he didn't see it before. So and he's still playing super fast.
Yeah, so he's gone rook h6, which is not a particularly good move, but it's a move, yeah. And bishop b4 is a very strong reply, which may have been missed, because I think my first instinct was, can't I play queen f7, knight f3, rook e6, which I thought was giving me a lot of very important threats, like knight f3, rook e6, and I thought knight g1, I will find something like rook e7 or rook e, rook e7 here. Queen h7 is such a threat that we're actually doing very well. But unfortunately, rook e6, rook h5 just wins on the spot, which is, that or queen h4 or any move, really. Attacking h3 and the position collapses. So maybe he missed bishop b4, but honestly, he was playing so quickly that trying to point out exactly what Jan missed in this sequence is not easy. And after bishop b4, black has 2 draws, and unfortunately, I just looked it up. It got deleted. Like Sasha at this point was looking at engines because the position
F3.
was just.
I have
no F3. F3 is a simple one. There is a second one, which is unbelievably funny.
So that one is here, knight g2, but here it's just
no. But even this actually is extremely concrete, because in this position, I think if you give white a tempo, white is probably better. It's very specific. We play queen h4, and I think we are threatening rook h5, gh, bishop g3. Like if you play b3 here or something, I think this is what we're threatening. Yeah, takes bishop g3, and suddenly we're back in business giving mate on the king side. So you have to play rook g1 to stop it, and then I just go queen g5, and your rook is hanging, and it's just a direct repetition, which is once again like hello, find it from somewhere away. Yeah, like
no,
welcome.
You can stumble on it randomly.
Yeah, like you can get there move by move, but I don't think you can see it from afar. But there was also some absolutely unbelievable line in which, in the final position, black was somehow giving a perpetual to the white king on the squares d5 and c4, and I am not going to be able to reconstruct it, and it's a pity.
I didn't see it.
I think it's some sort of knight g6 and then
rook edge g6.
Somehow the white rook got to c8. No, it's definitely not rook g6. I think it was. Doesn't matter. It's a pity I didn't save it, but it's truly spectacular. It's one of the weirdest lines I've seen in a while. And he just goes rook f8 here. Rook f8 actually took him 10 minutes. So that was kind of weirdly, that was the one move from like move 28 until the end of the game that he stopped and thought about. And he came to this conclusion, which is not a great move, frankly.
Yeah, it looks very passive. Yeah, just your pawn and you give away one pawn, but still, it's not objectively speaking, it's not okay. White is better, but
okay, I can. Do you want the extremely fancy line?
Sure.
Okay, so bishop d6 here. I found it somewhere else here. Rook c1, knight f5. Once like none of these moves are makeable, but still, knight f5, rook c8, bishop f8. But it is extremely funny. Bishop takes f5, rook takes h5, queen takes f7. The line continues. It doesn't stop anywhere. Like rook h3, king g2, queen h4, bishop takes e6. And then we just run. Yeah, and this is a draw. Yeah, queen e2, queen f3, queen e2.
Banking. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like I think is a quite a nice line to try and calculate in a live game. Like once again,
it's a bit random.
Yeah. A little bit random. Yeah, you can say that. Yeah. But I mean, nobody ever plays like this. Like I don't think you can play bishop g8 with the idea of later playing bishop d6 with the idea of playing bishop f8 is impossible. But finding that line with f3 and knight g2, it looks logical, right? Because suddenly, if you look at this position, put the rook back on g8 here. If you just ask yourself, I would like to create threats. What are the threats I can even create, like geometrically? Like which squares can my pieces get to? I think you want to play f3 because maybe in some extremely good universe you can get your queen to the diagonal. Yeah. And also we do want to play knight g2, and then maybe knight f4. Just attack something.
Yeah.
So
it's sort of sense actually.
Yeah. I think f3 does make sense as a human move to make. Maybe
why? Just what happens here? Knight g2. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This is the main line. Yeah.
And if I go, let's say I move my rook, I'm trying to make sense of.
Now as you can see,
it's over. Yeah?
As you can see, knight f4 and everything suddenly collapses because our threats on the king side are not fast enough with the rook on h6 and the rook on g8. And if black actually creates a threat on the king side, it normally is the first and the last threat in the game. So yeah, kind of considering that was the point where he actually stopped and thought. We expected him to find f3.
Yeah.
But it was very obvious that he was not in the top shape, because I think the entire 10 minutes that he thought about rook f8, he thought from the player's lounge.
Yeah.
Which I think in Jan's case is generally, I think, not the best sign.
Yeah, no, for sure. We could see in Dubai. Rook f8 and
queen b4, queen g8, suddenly going back.
Yeah, and it's a pawn up, still messy, but queen c3.
I mean, we could discuss why Ding didn't play d5 here, but I think both of them just weren't really making very objective decisions.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and
Queen c3, you still want d5, so it went knight g6, which is very understandable. And here, here again, d5 was very, very good. With the idea bishop e5, queen d3, and it's just probably lost for black actually.
Yeah, but I can understand. I can understand the idea of not allowing the bishop on b8 to get back into the game so much. But yeah, if the best move in this position is actually rook g2, which I think was also suggested to me by Sasha during the show.
I said e2 actually.
Oh yeah. Rook e2, yeah, and I think at some point rook g2 was also mentioned as a useful move, just kind of general stabilizing idea. These are not very easy, and bishop g2 we didn't like. We thought it was unnecessary more than anything. It's just, it doesn't seem like we need to box the king on h1 so much. Like there aren't really any threats to parry, and there was a kind of somewhat relevant bit of dialogue during the commentary. Instead of bishop g2, we were looking at, I can't remember, either rook e2 or rook g2. Put any of those two moves on the board. And the point was, if black plays f5 here, you can go bishop takes f5. Ef d5 check. And I said something along the lines of, this is very pretty. And Sasha said, well, yeah, but it's an elementary tactic. You'd never miss that. And we moved on. And after bishop g2, black, if we want to talk about the objective variation of the position, I think the engine just starts bringing pieces back into the game. It goes bishop d6, I think.
Yeah.
Without any particular reason, just kind of improves the piece.
Yeah, just queen e7, you make b4 more difficult.
Just says it's a chess game now. Nobody's giving mate to anybody. Why not improve a piece? But Jan, it took him less than 2 minutes to play queen h4. Ding played rook e2, which is an understandable decision.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a turning point, maybe. Oh, it was before. I don't know, but that's a major.
Yeah.
Blunder.
I think he had, I'm not entirely sure how much, but
more than 25 minutes.
Yeah, like in that vicinity, like 25 or 23 or something.
Yeah.
Plenty of time. This is moved 34. So he is not in any kind of time trouble. His position is not that great anymore. There's no mating attack, but it's still a playable position.
What did he miss? Like, I think he missed that after f5. So he played f5. Blunder alert. So this gives away the pawn. I think he thought that f3 was good. I don't know what else.
It loses to everything. Yeah. No? Isn't d5 check winning?
Yeah, that's true, but queen f3 is not winning.
Yeah, okay. I mean, nobody goes queen f3. Like, I mean, first you calculate d5. Like, d5 and take on e5.
Bishop
you put on e5.
Then I go check.
Yeah.
You go g2.
Yeah.
And I resign.
Yeah, it's really not a very difficult calculation. Like, there's
okay. But
there's nothing in there. I think
but bishop f1 is equally good.
Yeah.
So but what else? I mean, he didn't see that the pawn was hanging? Or?
Yeah, I think it's sort of very similar to what happened with knight d4 in game 4. Like the move just kind of disappeared off of his field of vision completely.
So the main problem is that d5 is coming and it's just mate on g7. Peter, I know. What is your explanation here? And why?
I mean, we should understand that it's incredibly difficult personal moments for him, right? I mean, it's that close to a world championship. He's completely aware of it, and things start to crumble. I mean, it is not. I still agree that you should not miss simple tactics for that reason. But it strikes me more. I don't think we can start searching for chess reasons and find them.
Yeah. Well, I think this is fair. Yeah, I think this is fair. Whichever way you want to describe it, like trying to describe it in chess terms just doesn't do justice to him as a chess player.
Like, for sure.
He's a little bit too strong of a chess player to miss this.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's, I think there's, to my experience, there's two kind of people. When it's about nerves, there's two kind of people. There's people who are thinking forever, and basically lose on time. As myself, I'm doing that. Or people like Nepo or Maxime Vachilagrave, MVL, they just play. Well, when they're incredibly nervous, they just play so fast. And
if you can't stand the tension, you try to get it over with. I mean, Svidler played the World Championship that Vichy won in 2007, right? But I remember the penultimate round against Grishuk. I mean, if Vichy drew it, he would basically, almost practically speaking, become the world champion. And at some point, his nerves clicked, and he just started playing incredibly quickly because I think he simply couldn't stand the tension. He got lucky and managed to save it. But I think basically, when you can't cope with the tension, you just try to get it over with.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we had this extremely difficult, 15 minutes, and we generally don't watch, we don't have direct access to the cameras. We obviously can open some other stream in a second window and watch it ourselves. It's not broadcast on Levitev's channel. And I switched it on because it felt relevant, and I immediately felt like I was intruding on some kind of personal grief because it was just unbearable to watch him just sitting there realizing what he's done.
I mean, not to get into that discussion, but that's basically, I was the one saying at the beginning, the rest area, if we shouldn't have cameras. I understand maybe this is relevant pictures, but for me, they are just...
No, he was sitting at the board, so you always have those cameras. Yeah, you always have those cameras.
Yeah,
no, he was sitting at the board staring at the position, and then, and it's difficult to watch.
No, I cannot look at
it's just so saddening for somebody who has some experience of those emotions.
Yeah,
I mean, also for me, it doesn't matter who I root for. Looking at such is too difficult. Let's not talk about it, basically.
Yeah, so he played after agonizing for 15 minutes. He played Rook H5, but anyways, it's no.
Yeah, there are no good moves anymore. Yeah, whatever you play.
And D5, King G8, and Ding played very fast. D6.
Yeah.
Well,
why not? Yeah, apparently says mate and 12. Yeah, which is.
Yeah. I mean, exchange up. The King Gates mated. Bishop D5 is next. Well, whatever works for white here. So such a game. I mean, I don't know what to think, what to estimate. I mean, at some point I started to check the stats. If Nepo would win, that would be 98% chances of winning the match, while a draw would be 85 and a loss 52. Is he really still on 52 after such a game?
This is a mad calculation based on ratings, but
yeah, this is just numbers. Yeah, it completely disregards, I'm pretty sure, no attempt is being made to calculate the emotional state of somebody who just played this game, which I understand because nobody really knows what it's like.
No, but 98 is fair if he would have won. I mean, we would say no. 85 sounds also
a bit high, but understandable.
That is too high. Maybe if you calculate, of course, there is a potential tiebreak. I forgot.
Yeah, but now 52, I don't think is favorite anymore after such a game. But we saw so many ups and downs in this.
Oh, but also, I mean, he has to play a game tomorrow, but then there is a free day. I mean, emotional states has a tendency to pass in a way, right? I mean, if they had to play, in half an hour, it wouldn't be good. But
and tomorrow is white, so probably Spanish anti is in.
Do you actually try to play a chess game tomorrow?
For Ding?
No, for Jan. Ding is black. He doesn't really have as much agency. He obviously is. I mean, I assume he's okay with the draw because he gets the final serve in the match in game 14. So for him, I don't think it's such a critical question.
I mean, the final serve with he just played knight f3, e3 and was lost after a move.
I would say that he doesn't play a game tomorrow. But I mean, by that logic, you could argue should Ding force him to play a game, and I probably don't think that either. But,
really?
Yeah.
You don't think so?
No, you could, but I mean, also should Ding play the Sicilian and lose like an idiot? I don't know. I mean, it's. I think there is too much pressure on both of them in a way. So.
No, I think now that the scores are level, there was definitely, we were discussing it during the pre-show. Ding apparently was asked after game 11 if didn't he think it was time to play the Sicilian? He said no, not yet. If he doesn't win today, I think it probably is time to play the Sicilian.
Yeah.
But not anymore. With scores level, why does he need to play something
But
that
come
he
on,
has?
I mean, Nepo cannot force the draw.
I mean, I made this
I mean, like,
argument
it's
in
too
New
weak, no?
York that Magnus forced a draw with white against Kayakin because he thought it was the best strategy. And my point
That was
was,
the last game.
if Magnus thinks that it's a good strategy, Kayakin should do the reverse. I mean, imagine Magnus plays e4, he's trying to force a draw, and Kayakin comes over the top with a knight off. Well, probably he gets crushed, and that's it. But in general, this is zero sum. So if something is bad for one, you should try and prevent it. But
Yeah,
I think maybe I cannot see him playing the Sicilian tomorrow or whatever.
yeah. And there was actually an example of that, right, in World Championship history. You were there, right, in Sofia?
I probably was, but
yeah, but because like Veselin thought he is such a dog in Rapid.
Yeah.
That he basically went all in with white in game 12, which not every person does. Like
no,
a lot of people still feel like, why am I staking so much on one game, and I should still play the Rapid.
White, maybe it makes sense. I thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
if you're cool enough thinking, sure, I gamble with white and I have 33% chance of winning, 66 of losing, but it's better than Rapid.
Yeah, of course.
What I think is wrong is that, Vichy is a great Rapid player, but World Championship match playoffs is kind of about nerve, so who knows in a way. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but from Veselin's viewpoint, it seemed like I definitely understand the reasoning. Maybe I even agree with it, to be honest. And it was sort of refreshing to see somebody have a conviction about something and actually sort of.
No, I mean, I thought he was criticized too much. I remember the game, of course, I went through the emotions. And while what he did was very bad, actually, it was bad for very specific reasons. I mean, it looks incredibly stupid on general grounds, but actually Vichy had to play some very precise moves at some point. And I mean, it becomes a bit like we talk about, is this stupid for exact reasons or just in general? And no, it was kind of reasonable. I think Topalov got somewhat bad-mouthed for that, which was not justified to some extent. But okay, well, maybe I'm trying to be nice. I don't know, but that was not my feeling. That it was not as insane as it was put.
No. Yeah, I mean, if the general consensus is it was just a horrible mistake, I don't think so, and I never thought so at the time either.
I'm glad someone agrees.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, so many things can happen. I cannot imagine Nepo going for a draw. Maybe it's what he should do, but he's not going to do that. I really don't think so. It's too proud in my.
If he goes for a draw and then gets outplayed with black, he will. I mean, the point is now
you will regret. Yeah,
you end up doing things that you might regret for the rest of your life.
And actually, he got. In the Spanish, I mean, he got good positions. So why not to? I mean, there's also no issue opening wise. So we probably have some leftover in the main. I mean, so small idea. I mean, in the D3 Spanish. So I can't imagine him playing the 4 knights and killing the game immediately.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, probably not.
No, I think you are right. That certainly now again the opening phase becomes very important because, Ding ideally needs to survive it, and that's probably still his weakest phase. That I mean, he has been struggling to some extent there, right? Yeah. I mean, he has been struggling so much recently because Nepo has not been pushing it. So maybe I'm contradicting myself.
I wasn't here for the previous ones. So what was the chicken conclusion on Jan kind of taking the game off with d takes c4 in that anti-martial?
I mean, I did a 3-minute recap from the golf course. I think no one
no, because I will say that sort of relevantly towards what we were just discussing, Sasha was very, very sharply critical of that decision, and he thought problems that happened today were maybe somewhat not exactly. No, he said that he couldn't quite understand how basically, the same person who played the first half of the game today decided not to continue in game 11 because, it's clearly a very, very strong player who just decides to take a draw with white and then to play a full-blooded game with black. And he thought it was kind of inconsistent.
I mean, full-blooded. I mean, like, it's really good for black, actually. I mean, like, white is really asking in for doubles.
I remember something from my youth where Timon was commenting on one of his matches where he was like +1 and had white with 2 games to go. And he said that, well, it's typical that, the player behind will go for a draw to stage on the white game. And he said, well, and like this, the match quietly came to an end. I think he beat Portis in the second game. No, something like that, well, it might also be momentum for the player who's ahead, that the other guy says, okay, I'll just make a draw. And that might have some kind of weakness. Or, well, maybe he just got lucky and is showing off. I don't know. But, I mean, it's an interesting situation. And
I was just wondering.
Just conceding a draw is probably strange.
I was just wondering what the general take was, because I thought that it wasn't such a poor decision by Jan to go DC. I probably wouldn't have done it in a normal game, but I also think he probably wouldn't have done it in a normal game either. But I was influenced by the fact that we were looking at it with Evgeny Tomaszewski, and obviously with the help of engines and people in chat telling us what engines think. So we knew by that point that I
thought Black's position was kind of okay.
Yeah, it is, but it's what's the word? It's
potentially
it's potentially soft. It's soft. You've weakened enough that exactly. if something starts going wrong, it could go wrong like very quickly and very, very wrong.
Yeah, so potential is much higher
because your structure is not stable. You are solving concrete issues with concrete measures. And yes, the engine says like 0-20 and is entirely unimpressed. But we thought it was definitely possible to continue.
For sure.
And Sasha today was even more adamant that he
thought that's also a bit of
right
hindsight. I mean,
for sure.
Had the match finished today, well, practically speaking, we wouldn't have this discussion. I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually have to run. You guys are welcome to hang in here. But
I think we're also pretty much done. So.
Thanks, Peters. And thanks everyone for watching this recap. And see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.